So you've tried every productivity hack out there. You've done a productivity course and built your own productivity system, but you still can't stop procrastinating. And you start to wonder, what's wrong with me? It's not you, it's the procrastination productivity myth that's been holding you back. And until very recently, this was happening to me too. So I'm here to do a little myth busting. A big thank you to my patrons for their support. Hi, I'm Vanessa, a behavioural scientist and a YouTuber, and I struggle with procrastination. I kind of always have. Here I am scrolling through Instagram when I was meant to be filming this video. But when I've told people I struggle with procrastination, they don't really believe me, because objectively, I guess I come across as a productive person. So for years, I couldn't reconcile this in my mind, and I thought, hey, if I just build another productivity system, then I'll stop procrastinating. But then this year, something changed. I started doing research, not just for these videos, but at an institution. And what I discovered as I dug into the research on procrastination is that it's not the opposite of productivity. They're different concepts and they exist on different planes, and we should actually think about them independently. So let me explain. The procrastination productivity myth is the idea that productivity is the opposite of procrastinating. But procrastination is mostly caused by the way you think rather than the way you work. Now, we've all procrastinated before. You put off something you intend to do, like finishing that paper you're writing, and dabble in things with a short-term benefit, like binging Schitt's Creek, even though deep down, you're aware you'd be better off if you just did your work. So it's easy to assume that you need to fix your productivity. Productivity is all about working as efficiently as possible. Maybe you need a new work app or a standing desk, and then you won't procrastinate as much. But people don't just put off work or study. We procrastinate calling our mums and even going to bed. But you wouldn't normally say that you've been really productive if you've just been on the phone chatting to your mum or if you've been asleep for 7 hours. Because the opposite of procrastination is not productivity. It's simply an action, any action, whatever it is you've put off. Whereas the opposite of productivity is an inefficient work system. A lot of us try to fix procrastination with productivity hacks, like using time management apps or optimizing our workflow. But procrastination is caused by lapses in self-control, or us avoiding facing a certain emotion. So it's better to deal with procrastinating by shifting the way we think, not the way we work. And there are a lot of myths around procrastination that are really unhelpful because they stop us from being able to overcome it. So here they are. Procrastination doesn't mean you're lazy.
There's technically nothing wrong with leaving things to the last minute if you actually do them at the last minute.
This is Jorge Cham, a cartoonist and the creator of PhD Comics, which explores procrastination a lot.
I consider myself an expert procrastinator, to the point where it's sort of a way of life for me, to be honest.
Which makes Jorge very experienced in what people get wrong about procrastination.
You know, my big thing is that there's a big difference between procrastination and laziness. You know, laziness is when you don't want to do anything. Procrastination, you just don't want to do it now. So if you're putting things off, that's not necessarily laziness.
We get stuck in the procrastination guilt trap. Now, this distinction matters because if we think that we're lazy and then we start to act in a lazy way, we just start to feel bad about ourselves. You could say that we feed our inner critic. So we get stuck in this procrastination guilt trap where we feel bad that we're procrastinating, we procrastinate more, and then we just feel worse about ourselves. And that is not helpful. And being able to manage this inner critic is so crucial in being able to manage procrastination, because so much of procrastination is actually caused by our thoughts and feelings. So now, just with a pad of paper and a giant llama, I'm going to illuminate 4 ways that you can overcome procrastination. For starters, it's super important to forgive yourself. So self-compassion is really, really crucial to getting out of that guilt trap. And research shows that students who forgave themselves for procrastinating when they were meant to be studying for an exam were less likely to procrastinate the next time their exams came around. Next up, we can all try to stop using should statements. So your inner critic loves to use should statements. So we should be getting a certain amount of exercise today, or we should be following this morning routine.
I had a professor who really challenged us to think about what the word should mean. Like when we say things like, oh, I really should be working on this, or I really should be cleaning my kitchen. If you sort of think about what that word should means, it's really not a word that makes a lot of sense by itself.
So if you catch yourself using a should statement, you can try to reframe it with a little bit more self-compassion. So you might think, if you do actually enjoy exercising, you might think that exercising makes me feel good. Or you might think following this morning routine actually helps me manage stress. Another thing you can do is imagine working through a task. We often use procrastination to avoid discomfort, which could be having a tough conversation, thinking through a hard problem, or something like sending a difficult email. One way that we can get better at both starting and doing these things is by sitting down and imagining working through that task, working through the thing we have been avoiding doing in practice just by thinking through all of the steps in our head. So it helps to do it mentally before we do it physically. And finding things to help you deal with discomfort is really useful as well. So this could be breathing exercises or meditation, or maybe just binge watching Schitt's Creek. And finally, give yourself permission to rest. So we often procrastinate by going to get a snack or check our phones or find ourselves browsing the web because we don't schedule enough breaks into our daily routine. So if you're working from home or studying, a good rule of thumb is to have a break every 15 minutes for every hour of work. I know that seems like a lot, but you'll be less likely to procrastinate by going to take breaks yourself. Now, my main message here is please don't beat yourself up about productivity. Hustle culture and thinking that you need to optimize everything can be really harmful. For me, thinking about why I was procrastinating independent of productivity helped me realize why I was delaying everything and how I could better deal with those tasks. Procrastination is its own beast, and the techniques to overcome it are way different from being more productive. So remember that, and good luck.